So I'll just kind of press down and then start brushing away. And look at this, look. As I do that, it's removing the colour from underneath the cursor, but it's keeping all those other kind of colours in there as well that make up the shape and the shine on the glass. So we're seeing through the glass, but we can still see the shape. I mean, it just looks so good. Okay, so recently I presented 2 classes during the Photoshop Virtual Summit 6, and one of those classes I called Oldies but Goldies, Photoshop techniques that stand the test of time. And in this class, I went through a whole host of techniques that, despite all of the amazing updates we've had over recent times, are still incredibly useful and incredibly powerful. Now, one such technique I showed was going through using the background eraser tool that has been in Photoshop for a long time, but rarely, if ever, do you hear it mentioned or demonstrated. And it was great to see so many of the comments posted were referring to it. So if you've never used the background eraser tool or haven't used it for a long time, in this video I want to share the technique from the Photoshop Virtual Summit 6, where I show how incredibly useful the background eraser tool is, especially when compositing and you have an object that you want to be able to see through but still maintain the original shape and highlights. Okay, so what I have here then is this food blender, this glass food blender that I want to add into this kitchen scene here. So the first thing I need to do is to cut it out, and to do that I'll just come over to the toolbar, I'll go to the object selection tool, the options bar at the top of the screen here we have the object finder, which it's now done, and you can see when I bring my cursor over it identifies it just there. So I'll press down, and when I do we see the marching ant selection going all the way around the object. So I'm just going to do a non-destructive cutout. I'll add a layer mask. So I click on that and there we go. The object has now been cut out. So I'll drag this over now into the kitchen scene and place it in. It's obviously way too big, so I need to go to free transform by pressing Command or Control and T. I can't see the transform handles, so I'll press Command or Control and 0 to zoom out a bit. There we go. So I can drag these handles now and I'll resize it in like so. And just for now, I'll place it there and press enter. So now that it's in there, there is an obvious problem. The fact that this food blender was photographed with that white background. We can still see that white background here in the glass area, which should be transparent so that we can see through it to see what's going on in the kitchen. But we can't. So obviously what we could do is maybe come over to the erase tool and just kind of start erasing parts of it. But that's not going to look very realistic. It's getting rid of a lot of the shape within that glass bowl, but it's also removing the reflections. And it's the reflections that make us realize that it's actually glass. So we're not going to use the erase tool, but we will use the background eraser tool. Now, when we choose this, up in the options bar here, we can see I'm going to use this particular part here, this little icon, I'm going to have that pressed down. But then we'll come over to where it says limits. And we've got a few choices in here. I've got discontiguous, contiguous, or find edges. Now, because of the way this glass bowl is made up, with the shape of it and the fact that we've got all these kind of contours and what have you within it, I'm going to go for find edges as being the option I'll choose. And then we have tolerance. Now, when we use the background eraser tool, we press down on an area of our image where we've got the color that we want to remove. And that pixel there, if we then brush over, is kind of sampled and it then removes that pixel or similar pixels away from our picture. Tolerance means that the actual pixel we press down on, the color of it, the higher the tolerance, Photoshop will then say, right, okay, so this is the color that you want to remove, but with the high tolerance, you're also going to want to try and maybe remove these colors as well. So the higher the tolerance, the more range of tones it'll start to remove. Now, when we look at this glass bowl here, it's got this white background in there where it's fairly similar across all of it. So for that reason, I'd only have a very low tolerance, and I've got it set to 8% here. And I think this is the only kind of fly in the ointment when it comes to using this particular tool. That tolerance level can be quite a bit of a challenge to get exactly right, but it's just a few tries, just a bit of trial and error. But when you do get it right and it's on the money, it does a fantastic job. So here we are then. I've got my tolerance set to 8%. I'm not going to be using this little checkbox here where it says protect foreground color. I want to be removing the color that I pressed down on. I don't want to preserve what I have set in as the foreground. So I'll just kind of press down and then start brushing away. And look at this, look. As I do that, it's removing the colour from underneath the cursor, but it's keeping all those other kind of colours in there as well that make up the shape and the shine on the glass. So we're seeing through the glass, but we can still see the shape. I mean, it just looks so good, so incredibly easy to do. Once you get that tolerance right, it is just a miracle worker. I love this tool. So let's just come over here. Obviously, I'm going fairly quickly just to show this to you. But let me just brush over these areas. I'll come down over to this like metal blade area here. A little bit down there as well. That's going to be glass, isn't it? Just under that bit. And there. It's just absolutely brilliant. There we go. A nice bit of shine on there, which is keeping. And then we'll come down. Now, this is where that fine edges comes into its own, because obviously we've got the right on the side there. And it's finding it. Absolutely brilliant. There we go. All right. So I'd probably kind of tidy this up just a little bit more. Obviously, I'm going fairly quickly. But, I mean, look at that. Actually looks like the glass is a little bit dirty. Could do with a clean, doesn't it? But you can see it, that it's glass. All the reflections are still there. I love it. Oh, we need to do the handle as well. So I'll decrease the size of the background eraser by using the left square bracket key. I'll press down and then just start to brush over here as well. Take my time coming up. Look at that. It's brilliant. And up here. There we go. And just round the top. Love it. I absolutely love it. It's so clever. So, so clever. Just a little bit in there maybe as well. But I mean, look at that. That hasn't taken long, has it? That's not taken long at all. And look, if I get the move tool, click and drag it around, we can see that's still glass. That's still, because it's got the reflections, we still see it as glass. So that's one thing I wanted to show you there, because like I said, that's a tool that's been in Photoshop for a good while, but you never get to hear about it. It's an unsung hero. Very, very powerful indeed.